Hi, friends.
Hi.
Elena and I are here. I'm Yolanda, and we are with Harper Therapy. We are located here in Lutz in the Tampa Bay area. And we wanted to talk to you today about a really big topic,
Yes.
right? Trustworthiness, trust. Trust in your team.
Mm-hmm. Which is, wow, trust in your teen, teaching your teen trust,
Right.
teaching them how to be trustworthy. There's a
Right.
lot with that topic.
So here's what I love about Brene Brown's work.
Mm-hmm.
And the workshop that we will be offering is based on her research. And she has been amazing in her ability to take our lived experiences
Yes.
and put them into words.
Yeah.
And even break them down. Because when we think about trust and being trustworthy and what that means, like, it's kind of this nebulous, kind of mushy feeling,
Yeah.
just trust.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very broad term,
Mm-hmm.
yet it's something that's so important to
Right.
each of us in our relationships, right?
It's one of those things that if it's not there, and you
Yeah.
probably take for granted.
Exactly.
When it is there.
It absolutely has to be there. So, if you think about trust, for everyone it's different. For some people it's like honesty, that is the main thing in trust.
Mm-hmm.
Reliability,
Mm-hmm.
being able to rely on someone, being able to count on them to be there. Doing what integrity, that's a big
Right.
part of trust too.
Yeah, that's a big component of what we teach in our Be Brave, Be Bold, Be
Mm-hmm.
Bold movement workshop is just trust broken down, operationalized, right?
Right.
It sounds really scientific, but how do we know if someone's trustworthy? Well, they adhere to boundaries, they're reliable, right? They are willing to accept some accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
integrity, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So this is a skill set that we help our teen girls understand and implement.
Yeah. And that's why we're here today to talk about it. One, to kind of give you a little taste of what we'll be talking about in the workshop, but also to talk about, how do you trust your teen? How do you teach trust to them? And also, you hope that they would be a trustworthy person as well.
Right. And how do you help them to identify friends who are trustworthy, right? Because all of us as parents have had that experience where we're concerned that our child is cultivating a friendship with someone who isn't in their best interests, or doesn't have their best interests.
We hear that all the time here.
Yeah.
And jumping off from our topic last week, we talked about core values. So that's one way. We look for people who share similar values. That's a way to trust. If someone doesn't share your primary core values, it's going to be hard to build that trust. Right. It may not be a good fit. Right. As friendships. And then we also talk about, and I'll let Yolanda explain this a little more, but we have this example of what a marble jar friendship is.
Yeah. So what is interesting is that a lot of times we think trust is built on these big experiences.
Right.
When really what happens is trust is built incrementally over time. How do I know that Alina is a trustworthy person? Because we have had plenty of interactions where she has made deposits into the marble jar. And they have been small things like, how do I know if a friend is trustworthy? Well, they remember, important dates, or they remember my dog's names, or they ask how, things are going after a certain situation.
Right. Or I tell them something and they don't tell anyone else about it.
They hold it in confidence.
They hold it in confidence. Yeah. Or, I tell them something about myself and then they're not just sitting there pointing their finger saying, oh, wow, you're weird.
Right. There's that element of not being judging.
The common humanity piece, right? So, those are all really important things, the little marbles that we put into the jar. And, if we have someone who the marble jar is only half full and we've been friends with them for a really long time, that might be an indication of maybe this isn't
that's a gauge.
We're the best person, my best friend, right?
Yeah.
I've heard trust called, in friendship too, it's like a ladder. You take one step at a time. You don't go from the bottom of the ladder to the top right away, right? It takes time, step by step, just like most things in life, right? So trust is the same way.
Yeah. And it is a skill set that can be taught and learned. And again, when you are in a situation with your teen, where you are saying to them, like, I don't feel like I can trust you because of this particular behavior, that again gives a framework for that conversation.
Right.
And to say, these are the components of the trust that have been broken, right? You are not reliable to do what you have said that you're going to do, right? And to really kind of fine tune the conversation to those specific things instead of it being such a broad conversation about things that, you know, that don't feel actionable.
Right. And applicable, right? It's like, how do we actually apply this to the relationship versus like these broad terms that no one really understands?
Yeah. So. Yeah. So giving your family that as a tool to use in the process of, you know, cultivating those marble jars in the family unit, giving that skill set to your teen as she navigates friendships in romantic relationships. Yes. And that, you know, that feeling that, component of trust, we can use the same skill set to kind of check in with ourselves and say, you know, am I a trustworthy person? I feel like I really dropped the ball in this situation with this event. Where did things kind of fall apart? And how do I kind of course correct?
Right. Absolutely. And I think the important thing to realize too is that trust isn't assumed, right? It's not something that is just given from the get-go. You know, it is something that is absolutely worked towards, both on our part and on others.
Yeah. So another little taste of what we will be focused on our Be Bold movement and the workshop that we have coming up in March. You can find more details if you follow the link that is in this live broadcast. Yeah, Elena and I will be here hanging out with your teenage daughter, helping to cultivate this and other skill sets. So stay tuned with some of the other components that we will be working on, and just an opportunity to connect with some other teens in ways and
talk about deeper stuff
and hang out and have a good time too.
Yeah,
doing
absolutely.
It. So happy Tuesday. Why does it feel like a Monday?
Is it Tuesday?
Yeah,
it is Tuesday.
It's legit Tuesday.
Wow.
There you go. All right. Have a good afternoon, guys. Talk to you soon.
Take care.